Hello and welcome back to episode 136 of Talkoffamepod podcast with your host, Kylie. I'm super excited to have on singer-songwriter Dominique Ilie. Thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. So you started your performing career as an actor with the age of 8 and have dedicated yourself to your art, developing your passion for pop music and no soul undertones. Like, how did you find your passion for performing?
So it really all started since I was born. I grew up in a musical family. My mom plays the flute, my dad plays the oboe, my grandma is an opera singer, my aunt plays the piano and sings. It's everywhere in my family. And I started with music when I was 5, but really took it seriously around the age of 8. Same with acting. And yeah, it kind of just kicked off. With acting, I did it for about 2.5 to 3 years, and I realized that I really just want to focus more on music and take that path instead of acting. But the time that I spent acting was super fun.
And guys, you came from a family of musicians. Like, how did it kind of impact you to pursue music and stuff? Because, like, I know, like, for me, like, I come from family journalists, and so like, it's like always kind of stays in your blood. And you knew, like, if you're from
Yeah.
a family of that, you basically know you're probably going to do when you get older, since you come from a family
Yeah.
of musicians and stuff.
Yeah. Well, living in a family of musicians, like I have a brother and he loves music. He doesn't do it as like professionally as me, but even like not doing it professionally, he loves music. He's such an amazing singer, and I feel like everybody like in our family, professional or not, like they're in music in like in a certain way. And yeah, living in a musical family is super great because you just get like inspired by everyone around you. Like specifically my grandma, she's is an opera singer, and her vocal techniques and her range is just amazing, and it's really inspiring. So I love being in this family.
Like, did you ever see like your grandmother perform, or like you like?
So right now she's retired, and she's a opera coach in Romania at one of the colleges there. But I've seen a few videos of her performing, and she was really, really good in her, like when she was doing that.
That's amazing. Like, did she ever like teach you like things from music and
Yeah, so
singing?
actually she just flew in about 4 weeks ago, and she just flew back to Romania and she stayed for 3 weeks. And during those 3 weeks, we really just like kicked it off, and like we're working every single day for like at a minimum of like an hour. And I was just learning a lot from her. And every time she's here, I'm really just like learning more and more and new things from her. And I'm really, really like glad she's in my family because she like gives me a lot of advice and like very good like technique on how to stay, healthy, like keep your voice healthy while singing.
Like, how do you keep your voice healthy? Because I know like you sing a lot, and
Mhm.
obviously putting out music. You've been
Yeah.
doing this since you're a kid. Like for me, like if I sing too much or even like scream at the top of my lungs, my
Yeah.
voice always like blows out. Like it
Mhm.
is.
Yeah.
Well, I can't even like I lose my voice like for like weeks and at a time.
Well, it's really just about technique, because if you're just like screaming, then obviously it's going to go straight to your vocal cords. Because I've gone to concerts and I'll be like screaming my ass off, and then the next day I can't even speak.
Mm-hmm.
But with singing, if you do really, really high notes and you stay in your body and you stay grounded, use your diaphragm and, have the right air, have the right like habits, it honestly, I've been doing classes with her for like hours, like 4 hours on and I won't even feel tired. Like my voice doesn't even feel it. So if you have that right technique, you don't even feel it.
And like in terms of music and writing songs and stuff, last year came out with a single called Sunflower. Like, what was like the
Yeah.
meaning behind that song?
So Sunflower was really the idea behind it when we started it was kind of this almost like imagination of this perfect person,
Mm-hmm.
yet not really being there in a way. So like having this idea of, like your soulmate or like your like a loved one, and in reality they're not actually there. That was kind of the idea when we started writing the song. And ever since, that song's been one of my most popular ones. I love that song a lot. um and yeah.
Like, did you like was it just all your imagination, or did you like kind of feel that way,
um
like, growing up, or just now?
so
Like, did you feel that?
yeah, I can on it was like when we first wrote it, it was kind of imagination, but since I've like grown older since I wrote that song, like I feel like I've had moments in my life where like I feel like that.
Like, I feel like everyone feels like that. Like, you just
Mhm.
kind of like think like, oh my God, these things are gonna happen. Like, I'm gonna have like
Yeah.
the love of my life, but then like those things don't happen, and just like it just brings like a
Yeah.
gut out of you. Like, this pride
Mhm.
kind of brings sadness in you because like you're
Yeah.
like, I wish this thing would happen. Like, why can I
Yeah.
get this thing to happen? You know?
Exactly.
And like, how is like Sunflower different from like your other songs? Like, what is it kind of like the best about it?
So my before Sunflower, I had released 4 songs, original songs prior. One was called Friends for the Weekend, and when I got that song, I like didn't necessarily write a whole lot of it. But that was essentially my first ever original song. Then I released my EP with Colors, Sad, and Love Again. And those 3 songs, Colors was, I wrote those 3 songs like around quarantine time, right when COVID hit. And Colors was really almost speaking about like how quarantine affected
Mm-hmm.
everybody, how like everybody's in their houses all the time. A lot of people got like a lot of anxiety, antisocial, and the song was really saying that how the world is like just bright. And then Sad was being sad in quarantine. And Love Again was really the first love song that I wrote. But again, I also used that one over Imagination because I hadn't really had like a deep love like life yet.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that one was really like through Imagination. But Sunflower was, although it was Imagination, it was like that's kind of when I was starting to get more into like my love life. And um I felt a little bit more of a connection with it compared to all my other songs because I felt like more like, I don't know, part of it.
And like I love like those like other songs like connections. Like with quarantine, I know a lot of people suffer with
Mhm.
anxiety. Like I have
Yeah,
suffered anxiety. Everyone has kind of
doesn't
took
everybody?
COVID like different. Like I know a lot of
Yeah,
people suffer anxiety and be everyone's stuck at home like for months, is coming into the third year, which is crazy to
yeah.
me. Like it's already the third year. I honestly thought like it would last a couple of weeks
I
personally.
know. Yeah, I mean, when I was in quarantine, my school said that, hey, it's just gonna be 2 weeks, no worries, yada yada yada. And then it turned out to be, a few years. And like I felt like over the summer last year was finally when people were like, getting a little bit like more comfortable with going outside. Um, but yeah, that first year and a half to 2 years was like super depressing for everybody because not only were you stuck inside, but you couldn't like go see friends. You weren't socializing. It was
Mhm.
like it's fun for a little bit because you're in the house, you do whatever you want, but after even the first few months, it just killed everybody in my household at least.
Yeah, it can be too. Like at first, like the first couple of weeks, I got so excited. I'm like, oh,
Oh
I can
yeah.
just get lazy and just watch
Yeah, I
television,
thought it
get
was gonna
caught
be like
up.
a 2 week vacation, and then turned out to be more like 2 years.
I know. Like, how did that like impact you? Like, I know, like for a lot of artists, like it kind of impacted like writing a lot, like going
Yeah,
in person. Like how, like I know for me, like for quarantine, like I wouldn't be doing this podcast or and my
yeah,
work if it wasn't for quarantine. But like, how
yeah.
did that kind of impact you as an artist?
So yeah, so going back to my EP that I released back in like 2021, those 3 songs were all really inspired during quarantine, and Colors was the first one I wrote. And that was after about like a month and a half of quarantine. Um, and that it really just like generated from people being, so negative after the first few months, and bringing awareness that like there's still life outside.
Hmm.
So and then sad was after about like 4 months to 5 months of quarantine, which is when it finally like the depression hit, and the feeling like lonely and like secluded with just your family members really really hit. And that's what sad was based on. And then Love Again was like wrote around like December, so about like what, 6 7 months after everything hit. um and yeah, I feel like quarantine definitely was super inspiring, and I wouldn't be doing this without quarantine, and I wouldn't have been able to release that EP without quarantine, not only for the inspiration behind it, but with like you had so much free time, and like you had so much like freedom to do kind of whatever you wanted for the first like few months. And that's kind of what like drove this, because we had the time and the energy to kind of do it.
And like with music, like I know a lot of people have so many goals and things they
Mhm.
want to accomplish in the next couple of years. I know you're young. I know you're just kind of like
Yeah.
starting out and everything. Like, what is like your like number one goal with your music at this
Yeah.
level?
So ever when I was younger, I would always tell people I want to get a Grammy by the time I'm 16. And then now that I'm older, I realize that's not how the world works. So I'd say one of my biggest dreams and aspirations is for sure to get a Grammy. I don't know by 16, but um definitely to do that. I want to like by the time I like get into my adulthood, like 20s and 30s, I want to like just like blow off and like just go crazy with my music and be able to, like I sell at stadiums, be able to like have songs hit number one and just, get all those crazy things. But all those things don't come without work. So that's what we're doing right now, working
Yeah,
my butt
that's
off.
honestly it's a great goal. Like honestly, like
Yeah.
I wish like I had your goals. Like honestly, like I have so many, but I'm like, where do I
Yeah,
want to put my
I
mind to? You know, like where do I want to achieve in like this upcoming year? Like what do I want to do? Like honestly,
yeah,
like with having a Grammy, like that was honestly a good goal to have by
yeah.
16.
I love like man, when I was 5, that was the dream. And man, it still is. I would love to get a Grammy by 16. That'd be something else, huh?
For sure.
But
Like, if I want to Grammy by 16, I wouldn't want to live life anymore. Like I'd be like,
I
my
know,
work is
I
done.
know. Yeah. It's funny because I look at like people, and I've always been told that like if you don't like make it in the music industry by like 16 to 18, you're not gonna have any chances in the music industry. And then I look at people like in today's world that are like just making it, and they're in their like they're like 28. Like
Hmm.
I feel like it's good to like start a career early, but like doesn't really like matter that much.
Yeah, like I know like some people like kind of start young, but like some like big artists like Tana
Mhm.
McGraw,
They
like I forget, I don't know how to say her last name, but
Yeah.
she like started like in her like 20s, I think.
Hmm.
Like
Yeah.
most artists usually like get big usually in the 20s or early 30s, even if
Yeah.
they started really young.
Yeah.
And like, do you have like any upcoming music this year? Like you have any music releases coming?
So right now my plan is to release an album soon. That's the plan. And I've been writing a lot of songs behind the screen. And a few of them I've performed live. So if you ever like look on Instagram, you'll definitely see them. And yeah, I'm definitely gonna be releasing some singles soon. But the goal is by in the next year to release an album.
Sweet. And like do you have like a goal how many songs like you want to have on the album, or
On
is
the
it like
album, I want to have a minimum of 10, but like I would say the happy medium is like 12, 13.
no.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Like honestly, like I know like a lot of artists like come out like a couple of songs, but I know Morgan Wallen like came out like a 36 song album, I think.
Oh yeah, there's some people that like come out with like crazy numbers on albums. But like the Kid Leroy came out with an album. It was funny because it came out with like 50 something songs, but the album was only like 25 minutes long. So each song was like a minute long. It was kind of
Oh,
weird.
really?
But yeah.
Oh wow. I didn't even know that. Like with Morgan Wallen, like every all of his songs are like 2 to 3 minutes, I think.
Yeah.
It like which is like crazy. We all songs are 1 minute and all of it takes 22 minutes. Like that's absolutely
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah. There were some songs on that album that were like even like 30 seconds long. It was like kind of just like little snippets of things. Like he should have just like put it all in together and make like a few really long songs, but
Oh,
never
yeah,
mind.
that's absolutely true. Like some artists kind of like to like, kind of have snippets or like a minute or two songs that you want to make an
Yeah.
album like that long to listen and to
Mhm.
get like more listeners, I feel.
Yeah. It gets more
And
views.
yeah, and like I want the final thing I have to ask you is like what is like some advice for upcoming singer-songwriters?
Mhm. Um, I would just say don't ever stop like trying your hardest because there are a lot, especially in the music industry, there you will get a lot of no's.
Mm-hmm.
But just keep on trying. Keep on just putting in the work and keep on pushing.
Mm-hmm. Like, how do you like find the motivation to keep doing what you're doing? Because obviously, like for me, like it's obvious, like it's so hard to find motivation. Like at some point during my career, I know I've been doing this for almost 2 years, but it's like sometimes you're like, oh my God, I'm doing this every single day. I need a break. Like I can't have
Yeah.
any motivation.
Yeah, I breaks are always good. Like you need to know when to like give yourself those breaks. But I would say for the past few years, my main motivation has been the people around me.
Mm-hmm.
Keep on push me and from a good place. But recently I've learned to just kind of like push away all the negativity and focus on myself. So recently, my main motivation has been myself, like knowing that I'm doing this for me. And if I do this, it will get me somewhere good.
Mm-hmm. Like that's honestly a good motivation. It's like
Mhm.
obviously you're doing it for yourself, but if you like work your butt off to an extent and you think like, oh my God, I need a break, but this thing like you're just doing it for yourself. Like if you work hard every single day or every other day or how many times you work during a week, it's just gonna go far. Like it is no matter
Yeah,
how long it works. I'm like most nights during the week I literally go to bed brain dead. Like I literally can't like think anymore. Like
I feel that. I've been going like a few nights ago, I was up staying like just doing music until like 1:30 at night, and I had to wake up the next morning at 7:30 to go to school, and I was just so exhausted. But hey, the stuff I came up with at 1 a.m. were fire. So it was worth it.
yeah, it is definitely worth it. Like I was literally up until like 2:30 in the morning today because I was like, oh, I'm like I want to like come up with ideas. Like it's always like I swear all ideas come at night when you're trying to go to bed.
Yeah. All ideas are just come like right when you're trying to go to bed, you get all those like pops in your brain, and then you're like, no, I can't sleep.
Yeah, like it's like stinks. Like I'm like I want to wait till next morning to write down, but then next morning when I wake up, I forget it. Like that's
Yeah.
absolutely the worst
And
feeling.
it's
Like when you're coming
yeah.
up with things on the day, you can't think of anything. Now, of course, at night when your brain's like shutting off, like you're
Mhm.
like, what am
Yeah.
I supposed to do now?
And it's funny because those ideas that I get like randomly at the middle of the night, right before I go to bed, give me the energy to just stay up and work
Hmm.
on those ideas. Cause like I'm like by the time I am so like I'm dead. I've had a long day of school. I came home, I do all my work, I got my homework done, and then I'm trying to go to bed. And then this idea pops up. And that kind of gives me the energy to just like stay up and work on it.
Like that's absolutely true. Like that's like the worst thing about being an artist or being in entertainment is that like you like obviously come up with many ideas but can't come up with during the day. Like when you're trying
Yeah.
to do and get work done, other things on like schoolwork. Like your schoolwork takes up about like 97% of my time.
Oh
So
yeah.
I'm like, of course it comes up when I'm trying to focus on my main thing is school. Like I'm
Mhm.
like trying to focus on that, then work pops in my head. I need to do that instead of school.
Yeah, exactly.
And like I just want to thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Thank you
I
for
really
having me.
appreciate it. And like, where can people follow you on social media if they want to connect with you?
So you can find me at DOMINIQUEILIE on almost all platforms, on TikTok, Instagram, Spotify, all streaming platforms, YouTube. That's my main link. So yeah,
Perfect. Perfect. Thank you so much for joining and thank you everyone for listening. Make sure to rate and review and check him out. I really recommend. And yeah, thank you so much for joining. I really appreciate it. It was so fun talking to you.
thank you so much for having me.
Of course, thank you so much. Talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.